Well, another major winter storm affects areas of the United States, bringing in some strong winds and snow across areas of the northern plains, building into ice accumulation from Iowa to Maine, with ice storm warnings in areas of Pennsylvania. This is definitely not a normal situation for this time of year, dealing with ice across areas of Illinois and into Ohio, up through Pennsylvania and New York, all the way up into Maine, seeing potential for some glazing of ice, and as well those heavier amounts of ice accumulation through Ohio and Pennsylvania. Definitely a nasty little storm that's coming through. But what if a storm was anticipated several months in advance, and this whole weather pattern that's going to be blanketing the country with several rounds of snow and wintry weather was anticipated to happen several weeks and even a couple of months ago? And we've already looked at one of these situations, which is this storm right now, a couple of weeks ago right here on this channel. So let's explain what we're doing here, and we're forecasting these weather patterns that are verifying and happening several months into the future, and we will be making predictions in this video for when this weather pattern cycles back around and what that could mean. It will likely lead into a 3-week window of several setups for some severe weather across the United States. More on that on another time, but we will at least identify when and what weather pattern is coming back around, and we're doing this by using the Lezak Recurring Cycle. Now, what is this LRC, or Lezak Recurring Cycle? It's a unique weather forecasting method that identifies recurring patterns within the Earth's atmosphere over a period of time approximately 1 year, or maybe closer to 10 months. It's an innovative way and a groundbreaking way of forecasting long range and ultra long range to a significant level of accuracy that no other model can even come close to in terms of long-term forecasting. What happens is every single fall, and we believe that there's an astronomical reason behind why this ultimately happens, but the sun begins to set at the North Pole around fall, and it eventually goes full dark around the 5th, 6th, or 7th of October, which is right around when the brand new LRC, or Lezak Recurring Cycle, ultimately starts to begin. The weather cycles, or the weather, is cyclical. It is cycling around our planet on a regular basis, and these cycling patterns are a unique number of days long. Again, that pattern sets up in October, and it's a unique number of days, say somewhere between 40 and 60 days on average, and that weather pattern will recycle through the year ahead, and it will continue to cycle all the way through summer until a new pattern sets up the following October. Now, this is being said very, very simple, but this is how the LRC works, and by knowing this, we can identify when these large-scale weather patterns and what the weather patterns are going to look like coming up several months in advance. And by knowing what the cycle length is right now, I can tell you that this exact weather pattern, which happened last week and what's about to happen over the next 2 weeks, this 3-week span, will be back in 5 to 8 weeks from now, about 6 weeks from where we're at today on the 5th of February. So this will be rolling back around as we head through March and into the beginning of April. And we also have partially part of this part of the cycle in another previous video on the channel, severe weather setups in April. Watch out 2025 or something close to that. 3 storms by the middle of the month. That is part of this weather pattern that's cycling through right now. Now, I'm going to show you proof of this actually happening, and I'm going to get rid of myself here and show you these maps. Now, this is the upper levels of the atmosphere at 500 millibars that was taken today, and I'm going to show you the key features to be keeping an eye on. The actual forecast or model is anticipating that this storm right here will pull through the Canadian border, and this is the ultimate wave that's bringing in the weather today. Here's the upper level map from earlier. So here's our low, but our key 3 main features that we're keeping an eye on that identifies this part of the pattern: it's a low off of the Pacific Northwest, it's a low off and south of Alaska, and it's a low over Greenland. We also have these sub-features that are part of the pattern, which is a low and a trough off of the northeast, and as well the storm that's coming through today and into Thursday that's bringing in the ice storm from Iowa through Pennsylvania and parts of New York and Maine with a little bit of lighter icing up through there. So here are the three main features and our two sub features. Now if we go backwards to the previous cycle, I can show you this exact weather pattern that is already set up. Now there are different influences. I said that it was complicated. There are ENSO, the La Nina, El Nino, Arctic Oscillation, the polar vortex, the NAO, the PNA. It all affects the LRC, but it is the central piece in long-range weather forecasting. So let's go back to our previous cycle. Here's our three key features just 6 weeks before where we're at right now. The low off of Alaska, the low off the Pacific, our low over Greenland, and our two sub-features, a part of the pattern, is our trough or low off the northeast, and then the storm that's coming through right now through North Dakota and South Dakota in December, but ultimately rolled across the Great Lakes and into the Northeast shortly after. Now let's go back another 6 weeks to the prior cycle before this, and this is going to bring us back into November. Here we go, the same exact weather pattern, a little different, but it is still there. Our three main features up in Alaska, the Pacific Northwest, and off into Greenland, with our two sub-features, our low and our storm rolling through the northern tier of the country, and our trough, and this is a bit more of a larger system, back in November off of the northeast. Now we already know that this was going to happen. 6 weeks later, I know that there's going to be a low up here, a low here, and a low up in Iceland with sub-features in between them. We just took a look at it. There it is. There's the two sub-features. Here's your three mains. And if we go back to today, boom, there you go, right here. Our low up in Alaska, our low in the Pacific, our key features, sorry, I'm on the wrong date here, our sub-features between them, and that third main one up in Greenland. Now, what happened before this? Just 1 week before this storm right here rolls through the Great Lakes, let's go back. We have a big low down in the southwest just 1 week before. Are we going to see that same feature if we look back in the several cycles? Let's go back to November and see if we can go back 1 week from this and see if that is indeed the case. Boom, right there. 1 week before is this low in the southwest lifting through this portion of the pattern. This is part of one of the videos that we discussed earlier on this video. Then the main key features set up right there. Let's go to December. Now December is a little different, but it is still there. I'm going to point it out. Here's our main features. Let's go back 1 week. Hard to see. There it is right here, this low right here. Didn't quite dive down as far down into the southwest, but we still developed a storm. We still developed some weather that happened with it. And then our three main key features return. And here we go, back to where we're at today. Our three main key features and that low in the same area. So I can already forecast and tell you that these weather patterns are going to be continuing to cycle. Again, it's the LRC right at work right here. This weather pattern is going to continue to focus or continue to form throughout the rest of the summer. And this is where we have two of our videos you can go take a look at and see what those predictions ultimately are. Now, if I am to take a look at this and go 1 week before, what will we be looking for from January 30th and January 31st? If we go the pattern length, this is going to be rolling back around beginning around the 12th through the 13th of March. It will pick up into the 18th to 28th of March and into the middle of April. By the 17th or 18th of then, we will see 5 storms, if not 6, roll across the country. You can see half of those predictions in the prior video that I already explained over on the YouTube channel, but that will cover it for today. Mostly proof, a little bit of forecasting in terms of what these weather patterns are going to be looking like. We'll revisit it. We'll do more videos, and we'll make more predictions, and we'll make more detailed, precise predictions on some severe weather outbreaks and even some late season winter storms to affect the country. Beyond that, more severe weather outbreaks and hurricanes, all on the channel coming up this year with the LRC.